Hello watch fans, this is Charles Wallingford back again with another real watch discussion, and today we're going to talk about tool watches and beater watches. A good beater watch will be made out of a material that can take that beating and also absorb that beating rather than your wrist. So you're going to have plastic, you're going to have rubber, or you're going to have a very light metal. Let me show you my examples of my beater watch and my tool watches. Okay, these are my examples of my tool watches or my beater watches. And first off, I want to show you this watch. This watch is my Swiss Legend Tungsten diver. The tungsten of this watch allows it not to be scratched easily. It's very hard to scratch. Anything you see on here, any imperfection, is not a scratch. It's actually just a smudge. You just need to wipe it off or something. But it is smudged real easily as soon as you put your fingers on it. But that is one of my examples. My next example here, this is my Technomarine Ceramica, and this watch is one of my work watches because of the ceramic. The ceramic again doesn't scratch easily. Now these watches, these two here, I wear to work. I don't wear it anywhere else, but I wear them to work. They're reasonably nice watches. They look good. Doesn't scratch easily. This is, I could say, my real beater watch. It does, you can see the scratches on it. It has taken a bit of a beating. I love this watch though. This is one of my favorite watches. And it is a diver watch, of course. And this is the watch I wear when I go on vacation and I'm doing water sports. I love to use this watch as my all-around vacation watch for water sports and such. This watch has a serious depth rating of 500 meters, so it does well, and it's made out of titanium. Being made out of titanium, this watch does really well with the rigors of being a sports watch, being a tool watch, being a beater watch. When your watch is nice and light, you don't take a beating when it does. When you have a heavy watch like this tungsten watch, I would not like to use it for true sporting situations because of its weight. When this gets shifting around, I don't feel it as much. This one I do. That's why this one makes this a much better beater watch, sports watch, tool watch, what have you. Those are my examples of my beater watch and my tool watches. But I know you're thinking, oh Charles, we always learn something or at least make people mad about something. What are we going with this one? Okay, let's get into it. The reality of this conversation, or what I really want to talk about, is the misconceptions of what a tool watch really is. The bottom line is all these nice watches that we buy that do all these wonderful things, have all these wonderful abilities, are all dress watches. All these tool or sport watches, they're all dress watches. Every single one of them. Now you can make it a tool watch if you want. You can make it a beater watch if you want, depending on what your budget is. But these watch manufacturers, these brands, are not making tool watches. They're making dress watches. That's what they're making. That's the bottom line. Because there are plenty of actual, real tool watches out there that these professionals in that field are using. And what professionals I'm talking about professional drivers and people in the racing industries I'm talking about professional divers. I'm talking about professional pilots. And when you talk about pilots and divers and things like that, you usually are talking about military and police and law enforcement. Those people are not wearing those beautiful watches that we find all the time on our discussions on YouTube that we love to look at, and they're so pretty and so nice and have so many abilities. These professionals aren't using those watches. That is what I'm talking about. That's what we're going to talk about today, and that is why I say real. So the first thing is, what watches are these professionals really wearing? What are these professionals really wearing? They're wearing Timex watches. They're wearing maybe a Suunto, maybe a Citizen, Echo Drive because it's practical. You want a practical watch like that. Or they're wearing a Timex, a Casio. Did I already say Timex? Well, they're wearing a Casio. I know I didn't say that yet. Casios and Casio G-Shocks. That's what they're wearing. They're not wearing anything else. They're not wearing all these watches that we think are being made for these professionals. They once were. They once were used as those watches that we think they are today. Blancpain, yes, they were an actual professional watch used for diving. Rolex Submariner was an actual professional watch used for diving. Brigade actually was a watch that French military used in their Air Force or Air Corps. Yeah, they used them. They absolutely did. They don't use them anymore. It doesn't take place. It doesn't happen. I'm sorry, that's the reality, that's the truth. Why are you saying this, Charles? Why? How am I supposed to believe you? First of all, I'm saying this because of one, practicality. Practicality, that's why. In this age, that digital readout is much more precise than that hand watch. Looking at a watch hands will take far too long when you're trying to do too many things and work in that professional environment that is usually a scary, hairy situation. You can't look at your watch with hands on it and say, yes, it's 8:28. But you need to see 8:28. And 8:28 is going to take far too long to look at your wrist than seeing that big readout on that Suunto and seeing 8:28. Now, Charles, okay, that's your next question. How do you know, Charles Wallingford? How do you know what professional divers, pilots, and military, how do you know? How do you know they use these things? How do I know? Oh, it's simple. I was in the United States Marine Corps as a captain, actually. I was actually one of those people. Also, I was a professional police officer in Montgomery County, Maryland. That's really what I was. So I have first-hand experience on what people actually did, what actually goes down. So I'm not making any of this up. I'm not guessing any of this stuff. I know, matter of fact, actual, true experience.